Thank you to William Braun and Eugene Kimball for this morning's music. Good morning. My name is, good morning. You're listening. My name is Sophie Twarkowski. I'm a member of the worship committee. I use the pronouns she and hers. Welcome to all, newcomers, guests, members, and today's new members who are with us in person or virtual. We are glad that you have chosen to set aside time to be with us this morning. As we embrace a new month, may we take time to experience moments of quiet reflection, persistent kindness, persevere in compassion, show gratitude, find joy, laugh, enjoy nature, and act on our shared values. May we rise up to the social justice challenges that we encounter, and may we show our faith in action by joining a demonstration for democracy or by taking any action that supports our values. Know who you are, know your values, choose your action. We come into this space, a community that is strengthened by our diversity of thought, life experience, culture, lifestyle, and beliefs. A community committed to equity and social justice. A community that responds with courage, resilience, and collective power. A beacon of hope. We bring all that we are to this moment, this place, this beloved community, knowing that our whole selves are welcome here. Before we join together in today's service, I have a few brief announcements to highlight. They're also listed in your order of service. If you are new and would like to learn more about Unitarian Universalism or our congregation, members of our welcome team will be in the social hall after the service. After today's service, there will be a workshop on spiritual preparations for end of life, led by Chaplain Jamie Johnson. This workshop is open to caregivers and anyone thinking about or preparing for life's final years. It will be in the library upstairs from 12 to 2. Also this afternoon, there will be a musical performance called Stories from the North at 2 p.m. by the New Haven Chinese Cultural Cooperative. Admission is by an at-will donation. It looks like some of us could be here for the whole day. Only 5 days left to bid on donations of fabulous items featured in our auction gala. Check them out in the social hall and register to bid. You can also pick up raffle tickets and tickets for the May 9th dinner and the live auction, or you can register with the QR code in your order of service. 2 save the dates announcements. On Thursday, May 22nd at 11:30, there will be a special midweek and midday service with light lunch to celebrate our sages and seniors. See your weekly newsletter for more information on this event. On Sunday, May 25th, there will be the USNH Spring Congregational Meeting immediately after the service. And it's still not too late to make your pledge. Please stop by the table in the social hall after the service. A few reminders: we continue to set aside 2 designated spaces in our sanctuary. We welcome families with young children into our Sunday service, and we have set aside an optional space in the rear of the sanctuary with age-appropriate seating and materials so that families can fully participate in our service. Also, masks are required if you choose to sit in the first 5 rows in front of the piano. Finally, if you haven't, please silence your devices as we take a calming, deep breath and settle in together for our Sunday service.
Good morning. I'm Sunny. I'm the ministerial intern here at USNH. My pronouns are she and her. Today is May 4th. In a spirit of both levity and deep wisdom, I call us to worship, and we light the chalice with words from the Star Wars universe, which our very own Jesse Grice brought to my attention. Close your eyes. Feel it. The light. It's always been there. It will guide you. May the 4th be with you.
Covenant. Covenant lies at the center of how Unitarian Universalists gather in community. Our covenant unites us by the promises we make about how we will be together, how we will treat each other, and how we will seek to mend relationships when we fall short of our aspirations. Together, we recite a brief version of the covenant. While the following words express our intentions in writing, our true covenant lives and breathes in our actions. Please join me in reading the words that appear in your order of service or in the chat on the live stream. We covenant together to create and nurture a culture of respect and kindness, and to engage in the spiritual and everyday practice of loving more generously. To this end, we strive to be open, value differences, listen deeply, use kind language, speak our truths, work with conflict, seek humor and joy. Okay. Please rise as we sing hymn 42, Morning So Far to See. And if you are sharing a particular joy, please feel free to come and light a candle so that your light can be shared in the larger community. If you are sharing a specific sorrow, please come and put a rock or a shell in our water bowl so that we can recognize and support you during your time of sorrow.
I invite Bobby Pace, president of our congregation, to come and join me up here. Today, it is our great honor and privilege to welcome the newest members of the Unitarian Society of New Haven into this congregation. I invite forward Beth Del Grego, Jean Lasavar, David Vance, Alex Trost, Nancy Leroy, all to come forward and join us up here. And I note that Ginny Bernard and Jean Kimball, who will be playing in our service later, and Willie Estahara were at our breakfast this morning. And we are surrounded by a great cloud of witnesses up here. It's nice. So you've learned about Unitarian Universalism, and some of you have actually come from other congregations. And you pledged your gifts of time and money, and you signed your names into the membership book. You are now a part of this congregation, its present moment and its future. Bobby?
Good morning. I'm Bobby Pace, your board president. So, to all of you new members, whether we were born into this faith or chose it for ourselves, Unitarian Universalism asks us to renew and recommit to that choice every time we gather. As UU writer Liz James notes, this religion is not a thing you join. It's a thing you're called to co-create. We're delighted that you've chosen us as your co-creators.
Thank you, Bobby. And in this living tradition, we're able to accomplish together what we could absolutely never do on our own. Our individual quests is important, but so is our collective strength. And these two things are intertwined. And they're both nourishing and rooting deeply for each other. And as our membership grows, so does our potential for healing this world. And it is in that spirit that I ask you to go to your orders of service. And I invite first the congregation and all the members of the Membership Connections team and everyone here. And then there will be a response from our new members to read a mutual affirmation. So if the congregation, Bobby, will you lead them in unison, please?
We, the members of the Unitarian Society of New Haven, welcome you into this community, worn by fellowship and freedom, respect and reverence, curiosity and consolation, learning and love since its founding in 1951. We're grateful for each of you as you join this congregation as equal members. We accept and affirm you as you are and invite you into a journey of spiritual exploration taken in community, in times of shared joy and in times of shared conflict. When our visions align and when we fall short, we will remember the promise we've made and return to each other in the spirit of love. May your presence here change us all for the better.
And I invite you all to respond to the congregations with your own words of response.
As new members of the Unitarian Society of New Haven, we have crossed a threshold into a new relationship with this congregation, a deepened commitment, a broader openness, a brighter path of possibility. We pledge our gifts in support of the ministries of the congregation and ask for your support as we find our way in this faith. In times of shared joy and in times of shared conflict, when our visions align and when we fall short, we will remember the promises we've made and return to each other in the spirit of love.
And I ask for your applause, please. Well, Jesse's going to sing out our children, but as he comes forward, please always remember when we say that covenant earlier in the service, covenant is translated as promise. These are the promises we make to each other, and I was very touched this morning, and I really noted it. I want to point it out. When we have a shared, aligned vision, that's fabulous. That's great. It's also shared conflict. It's being able to talk to one another, work through things, stand for each other, and listen deeply so that we can understand one another. That's the promise. That's the covenant. Thank you, Jesse.
All children and young people who are present, let's go work on that covenant in our classes this morning. Let's sing them out with Go Now in Peace. Go now in peace, go now in peace. May the spirit of love surround you everywhere, everywhere you may go.
Go now in peace, go now in peace. May the spirit of love surround you everywhere, everywhere you may go. When we are distracted by or succumb to the chaos outside, it is much harder to access our deepest wisdom and our greatest inspiration inside. So let's take a few moments to go inside this morning. I will lead us in a bit of mindful awareness, followed by a short reading adapted from a Gaelic blessing, and then we'll have a moment of silence. So if it feels safe and comfortable to do so, I invite you to close your eyes. Notice the weight of your body on the pew. Notice the feeling of your feet connected to the floor, remembering that down through the foundation of this sanctuary, we hit earth. I invite you to feel that connection to this beautiful planet that holds us on our human journey. I invite you to allow your shoulders to sink away from your ears. Allow your eyes to grow soft in their sockets. Allow your jaw to relax. Notice your breath. We often, in stressed times, breathe shallowly, our chest constricted. So if your breath feels shallow or constricted, I invite you to take a big, deep inhale in and exhale it fully. Cleaning the slate. Find now a comfortable, restful, even pace of breath. And from this place of grounded awareness, I will now read from the Gaelic blessing, and then we'll take a few moments of silence. Deep peace of the running wave to you. Deep peace of the flowing air to you. Deep peace of the quiet earth to you. Deep peace of the shining stars to you. Deep peace of the infinite peace to you. And now Reverend Stephen will lead us in our offering.
There are so many ways that we can contribute to the life of this congregation. One of them are pledges in kind, and that's part of the pledge campaign. And a weekly opportunity as well. The major contribution you make is the energy you possess by simply being here and being together. But you may make contributions as well by mailing in to 700 Hartford Turnpike to the office. And the technical term, I believe here, is squiggly doohickey in your order of service if you wish to give online. And we're going to be passing the plate today. We're going to try to do this as much as we can to try to reconstruct things we used to do before the pandemic. It's important to work towards normalcy in all the ways that we can. And passing the plate is one of the common acts of a congregation. And I invite forward in that spirit for our offertory this morning, Eugene Kimball to offer an improvisation. Thank you, Gene. And in that spirit, I'm going to improvise the entire sermon. So, thank you, Gene. There's so much talent and spirit among this. So the new president was sending in his first annual message to the Congress. Lincoln had not believed that the nation would tumble into civil war, but it did. He wrote, "It is not, can any of us do better, but can we all do better? The dogmas of the quiet past are inadequate to the stormy present. The occasion is piled high with difficulty, and we must rise to the occasion. And as our case is new, so must we think anew and act anew. We must disenthrall ourselves and save the country." That word, disenthrall, has haunted me ever since I first read it as a young man. Of moving on to new and creative places where old thinking can't take us, and also by the fact that I am reading these words in the first place, is that there is in fact tradition to guide us into that creative new place where we may think and act anew and therefore save our country. And I would submit our souls in the bargain. There's a new book called Abundance by Ezra Klein and Derek Thompson. It is a short, pithy, and a very controversial book. And they advocate a turning away from a politics for liberals and conservatives alike that simply only respond to an idea of scarcity. They say, we want to move away from a right that fought the government and a left that hobbled it. They say and maintain that liberals stop believing in building things. Well, as I said, a very controversial book. Not everyone loves it. But I did give it a chance. I read it carefully. And I did remember living in Boston, Massachusetts, and hearing about folks that believed deeply in climate change and justice and fought vehemently to keep windmills being built in the Cape. They maintain that we need to find within ourselves a politics that grows people, gives them housing, and moves away from any self-defeating stance of scarcity. Is that a pipe dream? Well, I am not a political scientist, and I'm not a scientist of any sort. But I was attracted to this vision that we could do things better, that we could move into a life of abundance. I believe it's true, that there can be a narrative of a possible good life and moving past pessimism. They maintain, quote, abundance contains within it a bigness that befits the American project. It is a promise of just not more, but more of what matters. Abundance is liberalism, yes, but it is more than that. It is a liberalism that builds. And so I thought, what is it in the realm of the moral life that we can bring a message to one another and to this world, to our fellow citizens, that moves us away from brutality and cruelty? What might be the moral equivalence to the idea of abundance? And for me, it's reconstruction, revival, replenishment. I'm not going to spend a lot of time this week talking about crazy, horrible stuff that happens each and every week. I will merely invoke the lives of our children, because we're living in a measles outbreak in 12 states, an announcement that Head Start is going to be canceled out of the budget, and where a mother took her 4-year-old child to Honduras in stage 4 cancer. And that's enough. That's just a taste. I don't want to spend another second with that kind of negativity, even though we have to cope with it and deal with it every day. I believe that a time has come to begin envisioning what a reconstruction might look like and feel like, and how we might get there together. It is always time to present a hopeful future. And that's not naivete. That's constructing a narrative that allows us to get to where we have to go, to endure, and do more than endure, and thrive. Thrive. To flourish. A liberal narrative vision that can shift and change things. A shared moral vision that allows us to reconstruct all that is being broken. We need a revival that attracts and heartens people that are tempted to give up and tempted also to stop listening to the old liberal vision. A replenishment, not just of science, although that's being broken, not just of our laws, although they are being ignored, but rather a vision that in this reconstruction may protect each and every one of us. A politics that can ennoble rather than degrade. And why am I preaching this? It's really simple. You've heard it all your lives. A very simple statement. Without a vision, the people perish. Without a vision, the people perish. So what's our vision? Lincoln, 2 years before he ran for president, he couldn't even envision he'd ever be president, but he gave a speech in Chicago in 1858. And he was saying, well, what is a good definition of tyranny? And he took the closest example he could come up with, which was the nation's trauma of dealing with slavery. He said, if you could defeat slavery, there can be no despotism that you cannot defeat. And if you defend slavery, there is no despotism that you will not agree to. And he added, this argument is the same old serpent that says, you work and eat, you toil, and I will enjoy the fruits of it. Turn it in whatever way you will. Same old serpent. We don't have to invent this vision, but we do need to proclaim it more vividly, more consistently, and more boldly. Of that I am convinced. And I know it's at the very heart of the American project, and indeed of all peoples everywhere, of what Lincoln called a vast future also. Long injustices fueled the March on Selma. But we remember the marchers. We remember the children of Birmingham who faced the fire hoses, and we've forgotten the names and infamy of the local sheriffs who trained the fire hoses on them. We remember Lincoln's words, and not a single word from Jefferson Davis. Nothing. He left no mark on the soul of America. America is, Lord knows, an imperfect and stumbling experiment. But at the heart of things, no matter how desperate the times, we have always been invited to form, quote, a more perfect union. And that's our good news. That's the happy news, that this is ours to work with. And it abides. It will abide after all the damage. It will abide as we begin the Reconstruction, the revival, and the replenishment to come. And there's a simple reason for that. Because our narrative, our story, is better than theirs. It lifts people. It ennobles them. It convinces them of their dignity and agency to change things. Our good news is that this vision is not done yet, and I would submit to you this morning, it's hardly begun. Far from it. People do not have to despair. They do not have to descend into cynicism. We do not have to accept cruelty at the heart of our culture. Because people deserve better, and they deserve protection. They need medicine to make them better. They need laws to protect them on the streets and in their homes. And they need to understand that this assertion of dignity has no limit. It is ultimate. It is less an argument from politics or constitutionalism. Just wipe that from your mind. It is a faith statement that people deserve protection and dignity. It is a bracing and stalwart and unrelenting assertion that we can do better. And this is good news. And it's our work ahead. People will need, yes, a liberalism that states that equality and human dignity are more than political statements, but rather issues of faith. That is why they are perfectly appropriate from this pulpit. And this revival is, yes, a reconstruction that will do more than simply repair that which is broken. We all understand that it will take a long time to get there, to endure what we have to endure, and it will take a long time to rebuild. But we are building on a story that is already firmly in place and in our human hearts. I submit that human beings do not intrinsically like being cruel, although they can be tempted to indulge it. And we can affirm and protect that moral sense of decency that built this in the first place. And why? Because we are building on transcendental principles. These are not just American ideas. They are deeply human impulses 3,000 years ago, the prophets of Israel spoke to a shattered nation in Babylonian exile. In fact, there was no sense of being a nation anymore. They were cast by history and by the despotism of their time into total exile, except that they had each other and they had a vision. When we cast the Liberty Bell a long time ago, yes, it cracked, but it still maintains words. Do you know those words? Proclaim liberty throughout the land unto the inhabitants thereof. It's from Leviticus. And it refers to a concept called Jubilee, where every 50 years, the society not only proclaimed that it could yet again be gathered together, but they could essentially do so on the basis of justice. Jubilee said that you could free the debts of all people, you could free all those who were enslaved, and most of all, that the spirits of the people were to be renewed. That's what our Liberty Bell has on it. These are ancient words, but they are instructions for tomorrow, and they're instructions for 3.5 years from now. As Isaiah said, to bind up the brokenhearted and to proclaim freedom unto the captives. That's what it's all about. And none of this is going to be easy, nor enacted without profound sacrifice. I wish this work could be cost-free, and as the Declaration says, self-evident. It won't be. But I believe that the time is coming where this work will come easier, and despair and a sense of paralysis retreats. 2 months ago, I don't know whether I would have preached this sermon, or I would have preached it very, very differently. But I am filled with hope now. I believe this is no pipe dream. There's no naivete in this at all. People are tired already of cruelty. They're ready to remember who we might be if we would allow ourselves. It is true that prejudice and cruelty possesses a kind of strange allure of what we've observed in the last 100 days as what I call a mad malevolence verging on mania. And maybe the worst is yet to come. I don't know. But I tell you, I have never been more confident that the revival story will inevitably overwhelm hate and moral indecency. I believe this. And I believe that broken alliances can be reknit, that laws may be enforced, and that Enlightenment science may yet again have its day. Thank you. I appreciate that. Let the Enlightenment be the Enlightenment again. Yes, abundance is a great vision for a liberalism that builds things again. But let us also hold up a freeing vision that reminds us who we really are and who we might be yet. A liberalism that builds, but mainly builds bridges between people that are alienated from one another, offers a harbor for those who are disenfranchised, that finds a place and a home, a place of replenishment for all those who feel lost. And sometimes that's us. I see this now. I feel it in my bones. And I suspect you do too, or you wouldn't be here today. And as hard as the going is, you know what that vision is. And that it's ours to share. It's ours to give our hearts to. It is tragic that the same old serpent has reared its repellent head, but there is an anecdote evident among us. Amber Ruffin is a comedian who was disinvited to the White House Correspondents' Dinner. And she was interviewed last week, and she said, "No, I'm not going to share with you the jokes I was going to tell. I sat down with my Google Doc, and boy, I would have been in big trouble." And then Stephen Colbert said, "Well, what were you going to say at the end? What was your last joke?" She said, "Well, it would have been bad, but this is what I was going to say. We are surrounded by people trying to tell you that you are fueled by hate. And I am here to tell you that the opposite is true. That the opposite is what you were made for." At the end of the Civil War, Lincoln went to the telegraph office. And young John Hayes, his secretary, remembers seeing him quietly read the ticker tape. The words coming across on battlefields all across the nation. "We've been here before, and it was worse." And Lincoln turned to the young Hay and said, "I shall always try, and within my own heart, try to find one friend within me, whosoever else fails me, to tell me that I have not been a tyrant and that I have acted right." We can ever do that. To look within our own hearts, to find the one friend, to act right, and then find our community as well. Amen. Thank you. Thank you. And in that spirit, I call forward Sophie to, I'm going to suggest to the worship committee folks that are meeting this week that we maybe take a look at this word extinguishing. Because I think really what happens is when we snuff out that light, what we're doing is transferring the light into you, and you go out into the world, and you take that light with you. But let's say together the words in our order of service now. We extinguish this flame, but not the light of truth, the warmth of community, or the fire of commitment. These we carry in our hearts until we are together again. Let us sing together Faith of the Larger Liberty, 287 in your gray hymnals. 287, Faith of the Larger Liberty. Please rise as you are willing and able. Now my peace, which passes all understanding, keep your hearts and minds in the knowledge of love, and may this peace be yours in the week to come. Now let us go enjoy our salad days together. Amen. Go in peace.
Responsive.